We purchased the A7CR and the A7C II with our own money for our travel content creation in the hopes that we can interchangeably use them on tripods, gimbals, etc. without much adjustments to the setup for both photos and videos. I've been using the Sony A7C II for a while now, and I know it is a stellar performer in the high ISOs, but I was kinda disappointed with the amount of noise I get from the Sony A7CR when using the camera in the same way I use my A7C II. So a quick understanding of the camera's high ISO noise performance is due for me to use these amazing tools the right way. I am happy to make this video sharing my observations of noise in different ISOs in the A7CR in all 4K recording formats at its highest bit rates and its comparison with the A7C II. So grab a big bucket of popcorn, sit back in a comfy chair to observe the noise performance in these video clips for the next 8 minutes or so. While you're staring at the grey screen, let me explain what I understood from these clips. The A7CR generally has more noise in all ISOs than the A7C II. The A7CR also has dual bass gains at ISO 800 and ISO 3200, just like the A7C II. Although you can clearly notice the noise cleaning up at ISO 3200, it is not as clean as the ISO 800 clip. The noise levels at the ISO 3200 are similar to ISO 1000 than at the ISO 800, which means we get 1/2 stop cleaner noise at the second base ISO. This is the same in the case of A7C II, as we notice here. We can also notice that the ISO noise is much lower in A7C II in full frame modes compared to the APS-C modes shot at 60 frames per second. The A7CR, on the other hand, had a tad bit more noise at 60 frames per second clips than at 24 or 30 frames per second clips. Since the 60 frames per second clips on the A7CR are pixel binned, you may also see some artifacts. There are a noticeable color shift at high ISOs in both these cameras. To my eyes, the ISO noise is plenty, covering any such artifacts which were apparent after cleaning up the noise. When the noise is reduced, the A7C II clips are very clean. The A7C II and the A7CR behave the same way for other recording formats as well. I will let you know the key takeaway points after the sample clip segment. You may continue to watch these clips or skip to the conclusion in the chapter markings down below in the description. It is very difficult to quantify in terms of how many stops the ISO noise performance is better in the A7C II than in the A7CR in 20 or 30 frames per second, as the noise at the ISO 640 in the A7CR is very similar to the noise at the ISO 6400 from the A7C II. But in the APS-C mode, the ISO noise performance in the A7C II is 1/3 stop better than the A7CR as observed here. Conclusion. When it comes to 24 or 30 frames per second full frame modes, the A7CR needs to be handled with super care if you want noise-free videos. Using the lower base ISOs such as the ISO 200 gives relatively noise-free videos compared to ISO 800. I will happily use the ISO 12800 in A7C II as the noise at the high ISOs are mostly bearable and a little bit of noise reduction will clean up the footage very well. When it comes to 60 frames per second filming, the A7C II shifts to APS-C mode by default and we can get close to the APS-C performance. But still, the A7CR has noticeably more noise in the 60 frames per second full frame mode with more artifacts from the pixel bint footage. Of course, these are exaggerated clips to understand the limitations of these brilliant tools. In the real-world situations, you will get good results if you use these tools properly with proper exposure techniques. This video you're watching is recorded using the A7CR, and it is good enough for YouTube content creation, as you can see. I'm working on a compact camera showdown video comparing the Sony A7CR, the Sony A7C II with the Fujifilm X100vi. So stay tuned by subscribing to the channel for those videos. If you like what I'm doing, please like this video and comment your opinions. If you wish to support me, I love coffee and you can support me by buying me a coffee from the link in the description down below. You may also consider becoming a member of our channel where I will bring a lot more videos like these. Thank you very much for tuning in, watching this video and for your continual support to the channel. Peace.